Hi guys, this is Nadia from Imbali Crafts, and this is part 1 of my filigree series, and in this video I'd like to show you how I make my filigree wire. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button because I upload new stuff on a regular basis. I quite often make kits and PDF tutorials for the videos I put up on here, and I'll pop a link in the description below. I also have all sorts of gemstones, square and half round wires, some beads and all sorts of other goodies on my website, so take a gander over and see if there's anything you fancy. Last but not least, come and join us in our wire wrappers and metalsmiths group on Facebook. I'll also pop a link below. Right, let's get started. Right, so I'm going to anneal this wire, and the trick is to not reach the melting point, just heat it up right up until it has like a red sort of glow to it, but obviously don't go too far and melt the wires. So I've coiled it quite tightly so that there are no loose strands that are on their own, because those will melt really quickly. Right, so turn on my torch. Nice little flame. Just go over and slowly, circular motions. Try and heat up the wire. Don't try not to spend too much on one spot. Right, so obviously once it's when you finish annealing, we'll quench it. Because I've quenched it. So now I'm just going to undo, and we're going to start the twisting process. I'm going to take these off and open up the wires, and then we're going to be using our drill to create the twists. Okay, so the next step is to actually do the twisting. So what we're going to do is, if you don't have a drill, you can use a Dremel to do that as well. The most important thing is that you have a chuck that you can put a doubled over wire in, like so. And then we close that quite tightly. And then what I generally do is I find a spot near a door or a nail in a wall, and I attach the one side so that I can twist with the other. So I put the end with the, doesn't want to stay in, the doubled over end in there so that it stays the same length. Close it up, just make sure that it grabs both wires. Close it up. So I'm bringing over the wire. So it's just to demonstrate, but obviously I would attach this somewhere. So I'm just going to demonstrate what it's supposed to look. So then I'm twisting, and obviously you want this all along, and as I said, it's much easier to do this if the wire is attached to a wall somewhere. So I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to show you what the twist should look like once they're done. Okay, so when releasing the twist, every now and then we need to take it out of the chuck, roll it up and anneal it again before we carry on twisting. And if you release the slack, you need, before you do that, you run your finger across the wire. That will stop it from curling up, because the minute you release the tension from the drill, this is going to curl up and create kinks in your wire. So before you release the tension with the drill, run your finger over the wire, and that will prevent it from kinking. Okay, so we're going to roll this up and anneal it one more time. Okay, so I've wrapped some 6mm copper wire around the this fine silver, just to make sure it's tightly packed. I really don't want to melt anything. So let's see how that works, and I think that will keep everything nice and tight. So I'm just going to anneal this. Let's see if that's enough. So we're going to quench it and do it. So that seems to have annealed enough because the copper is really soft now. It's nicely annealed. So I think the silver would have also been annealed. Experimental stage here. All right, so I'm going to unwrap this and then we're going to do some more twisting. Okay, so I've run it through the drill a second time, and this is kind of how it looks at the moment. So I'm going to anneal it again, and I'm going to run it through the drill one more time. Okay, so that's the third anneal. Well, obviously the first anneal was before we twisted anything, so I'm going to quench it. Okay, so I've annealed it in total 3 times now. That's including before we started twisting. So I'm going to bring it up and show you how much it's twisted. You can see. So I've twisted 3 times with a drill. As I said, if you don't have a drill, you can use a Dremel as well. And it's just important that you obviously anneal it between steps. So the next thing is to actually run it through either your rolling mill, but since a lot of people don't actually have rolling mills, you can also use a hammer and a steel block. But the important part there is to create wire that is as uniform as possible. So we're going to go and do that now. So I'm going to show you how to flatten this with a hammer, but there's a bit of glare on my steel block. So what I'll do is I'll just place this rubber over it and just show you the technique. So I've got a small domed hammer and I'm just placing the wire on the block. So you do this on a steel block obviously, but I'm trying to reduce the glare. So you place it on top and then obviously you would hammer. And you flatten it. Doesn't work that well on rubber blocks. So I'm just going to, there we go. That's much better. So obviously you would make sure to have it as uniform as possible so that the wire is, try and zoom in as much as I can. I don't know if you can see that very well. But you want to make sure that it's as uniform as possible all the way through. And obviously if you have a rolling mill, that would work much better. Okay, so we're going to feed this wire through the rolling mill. Obviously, as I said, make sure it's annealed, and you need to use trial and error to find out what you need to set the rolling mill at. So I've just tried a couple of thicknesses, so I'm happy with the setting now. So I'm going to feed the wire through. So once I've finished with this, I need to anneal it again before we can start working with it. Okay, so I've wrapped it up again and I'm going to anneal it one last time. Obviously it would be a shame if we didn't melt it now. So I've wrapped it up in copper again. I'll be very careful annealing it. Alright, that should do. So I'm going to quench it and now it's ready to be worked with. We're just going to quickly unwrap. Right, so we can unravel and take a look. So it's quite delicate at this stage, so be careful not to put a kink in it. I have learned the hard way. As I mentioned earlier, you can get different wire thicknesses when you use different gauges to create the wire. Obviously you need to check out what kind of frame thickness you have. so that you make the filigree wire to fit, and obviously thicker wire are better for larger pieces, etc. And that's how I make my filigree wire. So that's part one of my filigree series. There will be other videos, and the next ones will show you how to shape the components and how to solder. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you find this useful. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button because I upload new stuff on a regular basis. As I say many times before, come and join our artist group on Facebook, which is called Wire Wrappers and Metalsmiths Worldwide. And if you'd like any gemstones, kits, PDF tutorials, please visit my shop. I will pop a link below. And last but not least, come and see me on my social media. I've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and obviously YouTube. And that's it for me. Thanks so much for watching.